to the Thought Snob Podcast. I'm Paula Swope. Let's get snobby. Heather Yerrid, today's guest, has many titles, but it's her innate wisdom, intuitive gifts, and resilience that set her apart from the rest. She's the founder of Selfcessful, which is a coaching practice rooted in the philosophy that unshakable self-certainty is the cornerstone of meaningful success. Now, although I'm impressed with her professional accomplishments, that's not what drew me to her. I learned that, like me, she sees number sequences all the time, like every day, all day. Do you know how hard it is to find someone with this in common? Furthermore, do you know how hard it is to have these conversations without being judged and ripped to shreds? In this episode, Heather and I dissect our experiences with number sequences and compare stories about the meanings connected to life circumstances. There is much to learn from our conversation, especially if you're curious about why you see number sequences and other synchronicities. Our taping was days ago, but I'm still thinking about it and processing it. Thank you for tuning in. If you love the Thought Snob Podcast, please like and subscribe. That way, you'll always get notifications about when new episodes air. So we're going to get in on number sequences.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
I know when you said that, I was like, oh, actually, I got emotional. I was like, when I received, I'm going to even get a little emo now. When I received that email and you said that, I got teary-eyed and I got emotional. Briefly, it comes in like 1 minute waves, and then I'm like, what was that? And I'm visioning right now, so I'm not looking at you. I was like, oh, it's here. I was like, I've been waiting. Like I told you in that email, I said, I've been waiting years to talk about that.
Well, it's a topic that you can't talk about with just everybody because people think we're crazy or they don't have the same experiences.
Yes.
And when I was on, I guess it was maybe on your Facebook page.
Yeah, where did you see it? Because when you're like, oh, I was looking in, I was like, where on earth do I even have that up anymore?
It was like, I'm pretty sure it was a post.
Okay.
And you talked about you had seen these sequences before this had happened, and you'd seen sequences before this had happened. I was like, holy shit, that's it. That's what we got to talk. We got to talk about this. And I think I went and emailed you immediately.
Yeah.
Because I get all excited.
Yeah, you did OMG and the cats. I was like, oh, I've never seen her like that.
Yeah.
Excited. I was
Excited.
There she is.
Yeah. I was excited. I was like, that's what we need to talk about. And so when's the first time you noticed it?
So the very first time I can recall seeing a triple digit number was October 15th of 2015. And it was in a dream. So the first time it came through was in a dream. And it was on a clock. You know those old 80s clocks that are red? What are they called? It's like a screen.
Like those,
whatever.
yeah.
Digital. I don't know.
Digital clock.
Yeah. So it was in a dream. It was on a nightstand in a clock. And it was right before I was going to interview out in LA. And it was 555. And I remember waking up and being like, oh my God, I remember numbers from like my dream. What's it mean? Yeah. And then I started Googling and it was about change. So in that moment when I saw that, right after meeting Mark Wahlberg and going out to pursue that space for totally different thing, I knew in that moment, I looked great. But I did not really see them often until... yeah, well, this one I see all the time too. I didn't really see it often until I continued to see it, but I didn't really see it consistently until Nick's accident, the father of my kid's accident.
Right.
But 555, big change. Yeah, taking that risk, right? Going out there to do that, take that jump. That was the first time, 2015, and his accident was in 2019. So 4 years later is when I can really tell you it was nonstop.
Before the accident?
Right after before the accident, it was once in the dream. And then once again, right after I got a job opportunity out in LA. And then right the day I got the call, because I got the call at 2:20 on January 22nd, 2019. And I left and walked out the door at 2:22. I saw 111 driving to the hospital. And then as soon as I left that night, which was probably around, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the morning, I saw 111 again. And then from that day forward, every day, to a point now where I don't even, when I see him, I'm like, oh, there they are. Yeah. But I just started seeing him again. But now it's been, 7 years consistently, daily. All right, let me rephrase that. Not daily. But now it's at least 5 out of 7 days.
Same. Yes. Same. And because I embraced it and I researched it, because I've collected like qualitative and quantitative data about this for years.
Meaning from what you saw and then you did your own thing, or that you researched it once you saw the numbers to learn and patternize them?
Patternize them.
Okay.
Like I wrote down my own experiences, and I've learned that they have different meanings for different people. But on social media, people are interested in this. The video that caused me to go viral the very first time was about number sequences. And something just came to me and said, you should talk about number sequences on TikTok. And I was brand new to it. Like I was scared to death. I was shaking in the shoes. I wasn't comfortable with it. It was completely out of my comfort zone. But I had just left my, long career in grant writing and fundraising to do this, to write the book and publish it and do all this stuff that is, transformed my life. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I've done it personally for years. I'm going to do this professionally. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It's just the way it went. And so I started talking about number sequences. And the video went viral in about 2 hours. And still to this day, and that was in 2020. Early 2022, I think that video went viral. But my most viewed video on TikTok to this day is about number sequences.
Yeah, it just got big with like teens in the last year and a half or 2 years. So that timing really is about right. Oh yeah. Like, I mean, now young girls are getting it tattooed on them. They're ordering charms, necklaces, bracelets with triple numbers, all that stuff. And which I was like, oh, I'm like, it's kind of exciting because I'm like, yay, people don't think I'm crazy. But then at the same time, I'm big on once something goes mainstream, I get a little bit,
I know
about that. But wait, did you say that you saw the numbers right, you started seeing them right when you left your longtime career before you wrote the book, or right after you wrote the book? I didn't catch that. Say that again.
I started seeing number sequences in my late 20s.
Okay.
And that was so I'm 48. When I was 8, I'm 48. Well,
I mean, I'm not the 48-year-olds aren't gorgeous, but like, holy shit.
It's hard to keep it up.
What are you doing, damn good, girl?
It's a full-time job, thank you. But in my late 20s, that just, I had my fed up moment and started turning things around. And when you decide to do that, as you know, somebody will show up.
Yeah.
And Wayne Dyer showed up. And he's the person that taught me about synchronicity, and I'd never heard the word manifestation.
Oh, really?
Being from rural Kentucky, that was considered the devil's work.
I was going to say,
devil's work, anything like that. And they it still is. Oh, I've been called a devil worshiper, and I've been accused of not believing in Jesus, and I was just like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
story on that one, maybe for another time.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Right. I mean, I could talk about it for 5 days straight.
That's why I was a little nervous even coming on here and talking about that, because I was like, I just got over that stigma here.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of coming in open out of LA and talking about numbers and my capacity to read things. And it ended up backfiring on me in a relationship and with women. Oh my gosh. Yes. They were, the first person I dated after Nick, for 2 years, he apparently was taunted. Like, they would be like, oh, aren't you with that, witch? Witch, not psychic girl.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, it's really the best type of person that you can be with if people could only understand that.
Correct. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to digress. But
you're right.
And the numbers and all that stuff.
It's just a lot. It's just so much. I knew this was going to be great. So, and I'd never experienced any kind of synchronicity up until that point.
Up until you met him.
Up until I started studying Wayne Dyer. And I remember the very first episode that I had. And I knew that it wasn't science, because, you can bring the science into it. Apophenia, okay? And we're hardwired to recognize patterns, even when they don't exist. That's not what this was, and it's not what this is. There's no way that this had anything to do with science. This was synchronicity. It was a message from the divine. And I was in a really bad place. I was really, really unhappy, but I had shifted my mindset. I think even more than what I realized. And I had applied for a job that I was not qualified for. I was not qualified for this job. And I applied for it, and I just knew I was going to get it. Like I was telling people, I had already gotten it. And
That's the key.
yeah, and I knew that this job was like my outlet at that time. I really, really needed that job to get to the next step of where I needed to go. And I had gone for the interview. About 3 days had passed, and I hadn't heard anything. And I had, asked for some guidance or some reassurance. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and I looked at my phone, and it was 1:11. And I remember sitting up in the bed going, "Oh my God, okay." And I felt so grateful for that, and I was hooked. At that point.
Discovering new beginnings, and then 1113 balancing.
Yes.
Body spirit. So that was them saying, "Yep, there you go. That is yours. You are correct."
That's right. That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's the first time I got cold chills thinking about it, and it taught me how to look at uncertainty differently.
Sure.
Embrace it, because if something's uncertain, nothing's been decided. And the person I was before the mindset shift, well, good God, if something was uncertain,
What did you freak out?
oh,
You hated the unknown.
oh, it was the worst case scenario. I was dying, if worst case scenario. But then I had switched to a different mindset, and it was more of a beginner's mind versus a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
And that came through, and that let me know it was going to be all right. And I think I got the job.
I'll say, how soon after did you get the job?
A day or two.
So there,
It may have
that's
been the next
solidified.
Yeah. But I was hooked. I mean, I was absolutely hooked, and I wanted more of that. And so I started researching it and studying it, and I started being very mindful, and I would stop what I was doing when I would see a sequence, and I would write it down.
Number sequence. Okay. And was it always the same number, or was it different numbers?
For a while.
Okay.
For a while, it was just the one sequence. And
Okay, for a while it was 111. Okay.
111, sometimes 1111.
Sure. But one, and it was triples, quads. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And it was
And young clocks.
Yes.
So stagnant. So that also has representation, because if you see it on the clock, and if you see it in that a non-moving object, right, that is truly about it ground. That is about you. That's how you know if it's a collective message,
Interesting.
or if it's a message of self, right?
Okay.
So the fact that it was in that clock was absolutely to the time-based element of it and your moment in time. So it's very much, that was a you message for sure.
So what if it's on a license plate?
So that's how it comes through to me. Consistently.
Oh my, it's nonstop.
Yes, it's primarily, I'd say 95% of the time, maybe 99. It's licenses on my end now. Before it was a blend of both. Because you sent me a picture later. You're lucky. I've almost sent you 8 cents because I've been like, oh my God. Then I'm like, I don't do that to her, because I do it to all my friends.
I don't know.
All my friends now got pictures of the license plate.
Well, I'll be doing it now. Look out.
How they see them with
All
all.
needs to stop.
It's just what I know. I love it. I'll finally have like someone like me. And so if it's in motion, right, that is about your forward path. Also, depending upon, because there's twofold things here. There's a lot of different dynamics that apply. So if it's on a license plate, one that's in motion, right, that is about the momentum. That is about the future. That is about the collective. So it is telling you about your path. It is telling you about something that you are either thinking in that moment and how it relates, whatever the number is, to whatever future space, future headspace situation is going to occur. So the license, but yes, the momentum of it is absolutely either, again, you in the future and what you are thinking of, because that's a big part of why they come up as well for some, maybe not everybody, but for some. And then also that's how you know if it's a collective message. And that really is more dependent upon if this is your field of work, right? If you're a healer, or if you're, that term is, like, I'm a coach, obviously. So even coaching, I mean, a very grounded thing in business and in personal. It can indicate messages that are supposed to be collective. So for me, the ones I'm seeing now, I know deep down it is driving the decisions I'm trying to make, which is around where to start to continue now, or to repick back up now that I can breathe with twins, the personal coaching aspects of it, right? Because a lot of that is, a lot of that falls to the wayside when you're a sole provider for 2 kids, because it pays if you're in the areas where individuals believe in coaching, believe in this type of stuff. It's great. is that 1%.
Right.
But in areas where you're not, you need to go into corporate business, and that's my background. So anyway, moving on a license plate means collective message potentially. Is this a received message that I need to put into my business, or for you, right? Or me, put into our message to others? Or is this also telling me this is a direction? This is giving a no, stop, or yes, keep going, which is really based off of what you're thinking in that moment. So I don't know how much research you've done on that. But yeah, with the license plate, I'm curious what you found, because for me, what became very evident, especially right after about 8 months after it was 7, because I saw 777. 7 months after Nick's accident, I saw 777. I heard a voice like call. He's sitting at his desk, which was about the detective, because he was DOA. And now it's like dead on arrival, even though he was not dead fully where he was. And when I called, the detective was there. I got the answer. So that, again, in license plate, in motion, about the future and what was going to happen. In that moment, I knew every time I saw a number, because I didn't understand it at first, every time I saw a number, I said to myself, okay, what are you thinking right now? And how does this correlate, which is what I coach people on to do now. Okay, what are you thinking in that moment? How is that aligned? And so that's the backing of the momentum, if that makes sense, right? What am I thinking and how is that future? Which goes into a couple of the things you mentioned, right? We have Carl Jung, who talks about the entire synchronistic theory. And then you have the hermetic, right? The esoteric, if you will. The law of correspondence. So without, so within, I'm down, all the above, and then the quantum physics element of it. Rashi is grounded in the, if I'm thinking it, where energy goes, it flows. So those numbers, again, are in that momentum pattern. That's what I've found.
A lot of people think, especially on social media, that if they start seeing number sequences frequently, that means something great is about to happen. And that's really not always the case.
No, it's not always the case.
Not
at all.
No.
Not at all. But you know what? God bless them for thinking that way. I love the positive mindset, but that's where that surface spirituality gets in the way. And I'm sure you've had your experience of that.
Yeah.
Where there's one thing to have a growth mindset. There's one thing to be positive, but there is no light without dark.
Right.
There is no polarity.
That's right.
We don't know what good is in life, because, unless we have faced or had pain, and some of us haven't had it yet, but when we do, we will then appreciate. So
yes,
correct. It's not always a good thing. It's an indicator of a unique thing. I like to say unique.
Yeah.
We can say bad.
And I like to say, I think anytime that you experience synchronicity, that's like tangible evidence from the universe. I think it's always a good thing. I'd much rather have
you're in alignment.
You're in alignment. You're being protected. So if the shit hits the fan, you are gonna be okay.
Absolutely.
And that's that reassurance that, I mean, I certainly have needed throughout the years, and that's why I welcome it. But I try to get people to see there is a distinction. And
100%.
And what you were saying, you got to pay attention to what you're thinking and how you're feeling when it happens.
Yes, that is key to understanding the numbers. What am I thinking? How am I feeling? Am I being negative Nancy? Am I being positive Polly? And that it still can be a message of doom is coming or gloom is coming, again, whatever it may be. But either way, you do impact the interpretation in that regard. It's not going to change the outcome. Right, though. Yes, we have free will, but it still has to be very much rooted and interpreted through the lens in which you're thinking. Right, which is why that mindset is huge and key.
Oh, definitely.
And a lot of times people, like the 555 was the first one that I saw. Change. You mentioned earlier being, the unknown before you were at that phase where you were changing in your job transition. I think you were saying that change and unknown was something negative. Well, that's going to happen because of the negativity bias in our brain and how we think.
Yeah.
But with that, change is inevitable. So how we interpret that as well is very much, every time I'm finding that every time someone sees a 555, they're freaking out and thinking it's bad.
That one's never bad for me. That one is about risk taking.
Oh, it is
with me.
Really? Well, do you see change as risk?
And I look at
not
risk.
Bad. I'm just saying, like in general, like change.
Well, I view kind of like risk and change this in the same way. I embrace taking risks. Sherry Lee, he makes it onto the podcast a lot. Stop it! Stop, dude! Stop! But 333, get back. 333 and 555 pop up anytime, because I'm a big risk taker. And anytime I'm contemplating taking a risk, I'll start seeing that. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do it.
Okay.
And sometimes, in one way or another, anytime I've taken a risk, it's come with like major changes. And even if it might be rocky at first, I never regret it.
Yeah.
I never regret taking a risk because I can't stand anything that has to do with conformity. I can't stand it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The fact that that combo and in general, that core 555 correlates with that risk absolutely it speaks to the restlessness of, and which I don't know if you ever owned that or not, or knew that you had it or whatever it may be, but I mean, you are a continual change agent of shifting, right? Which is always a risk because we never truly know the outcome. It's that blind faith, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
for me, the 555 has either literally been a huge, great change. One time it was directly correlated to all me and my kids getting COVID in Virginia Beach. I kept seeing 555 and it was COVID. I was like, oh, okay. I was one of the last to get it. So either way,
It's helpful.
it's something good or bad, but
I have the same bracelet.
oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I do.
cute.
I love it. Yeah.
This was a gift. I was debating on whether to wear it, but this was a big change gift. So I decided to wear it today. Typically I wear gold and I'm wearing silver as well. And I was like, I was like, I wonder what I didn't even I haven't gotten that answer yet, but
Yeah.
I was like, what? I'm like, I'm wearing silver. I was like, why? Why am I wearing silver
Yeah.
today?
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like he's got something to say to me. That's why he keeps coming over. Does he do that to everybody?
Not always, because Will is usually in here, doing the gatekeeping, and he's outside with those roofing guys.
And so you going through roofing?
Well, the hail
I did.
that came through did some damage to the roof, and so I think it needs some repair or something. But it's brand new. I mean, we just got it last year and paid out of pocket.
And it's messed up from the hail?
From the hail.
1 year? So
that hailstorm the other day,
of course, yeah,
was awful.
Wow.
I've never seen hail like that in my life. But yeah, so and I'm glad you brought that up, because the 555, yeah, it just different for different people, different meanings for different people, but you're kind of seeing it for the same reason. If it makes any sense.
Well, let me ask you a question. When you say
you're getting guidance.
Yes, correct. So all of the numbers in general, when you open yourself up to receiving messages, signs, in whatever capacity they come, yes, it is that. You are getting information that you have allowed yourself to be open to.
Yes.
However, the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all of those, do you believe that meaning is fixed for people, or do you have, from what you researched and from what you saw and from what you've experienced, that it is not, and it can change and shift? Like I just said, 5 is primarily in change, and you were like, for me, it's risk. So I'm just curious what your interpretation of those numbers. Do you think there is a baseline for each one of them, but it shifts per person? Because that's my stance on it. That's what I've experienced, but I'm curious where you.
With me and most of the people that I have talked to about this, it appears to be a little fixed. I don't know. I mean, I think I don't know if anything is fixed. I think everything is fluid.
Now, do you believe there's a foundation for everything or no?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a foundation. And I think that the more you dig into it and embrace it, and the more you're open to it, and maybe you ask for it, don't look for it. There's no looking for it. Ever looking for it.
I was like,
yeah, it doesn't count. It's the innocence.
Anybody who's out there looking for
they can forget it.
That's right. And guess what? It loses their meaning. 100%. Don't look for the numbers. No, even if they come, it is going to be a false message.
That's exactly
right. And a lot of people do that. See, that's also, I'm like, once I toe the line of sending the visuals to friends and so forth, because then they start to get in the habit of looking for it. And I swear to this day, 7 years later, I do not look. And sometimes when I'm in a horrible mood or I'm trying to flesh something out and I look up, I'm like, oh shit, here it is right in front of my face. There's the message. 444. Whenever I'm in the moment, not present, and being what I call mindless, if and when I look up, there's always that 444.
Same.
Really?
Same.
Oh my God.
When I'm irritated and I'm contemplating some bad shit in my head, And it will become from something superficial. And I am not meant for anything superficial. And when I fall into that hole of being superficial, and I even think about getting irritated over anything petty or something that just really does not matter, that will not matter a week from now or a year from now, I will see 444.
Grounded. That grounding, structural architecture. Remember your foundation.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For me, on top of that, I also, and I don't know why or how, but from what I can see and feel, and I probably did some research at some point that I can't remember at this moment, but that 444, as what I'm envisioning right now, is also, it's like someone saying, just speak it to, like I literally would say, just speak it to me, right? And what do you want? Speak it to me.
Right.
What do you need? You know, it's like that's a signal of like an angel being close to you or whoever, whatever you believe in, right? Some sort of, if you speak it, like earthbound for, it's, you know, earth, air, fire, water, north, south, east, west. It's a grounded earth energy number. And that's when you know you are supposed to speak into existence what it is that you are worried about, what you are wanting, what is not grounded in depth and what's on the surface level, to remove it. 100%. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never met anyone that says that they do that after two. That's so exciting.
Swear.
I love it. I believe you. I 100% believe you. So this is on that. On my way here, I saw 888, which I was like, okay. And then as I was driving home before coming here, it was the 777. So you mentioned that you have tracked and like researched what you did. So I have this like thing that I do for certain, well, when I have time, for a certain number of days, I will literally, I told you, I take pictures of them and then I will go in and see, okay, how many, when did I see them? What order are they in? For the last 30 days, I have had 555, 666, 777, 888, which you saw the picture of both of them together side by side. That happened 4 times. What a coincidence. 4.
Right.
999. And I've had quadruple 9s and the 2 quadruple 6s. What is the point in the entirety of everything? That in itself tells me that I am in activation mode, if I'm simplifying it, right? The fact that it's 6, 7, 8, 9. So those that see them in that order and when they are ascending, it is absolutely, again, saying, all right, there is an active shift happening. There is a synthesis happening. This is where the future work, the future stuff is coming into bounds. But also, to what you said, it cannot be surface. So I am being called to ground in what I know I'm supposed to talk about, which is grief, which is the only way to is through my mantras, right? Pain into purpose,
Right.
worry into wisdom, grief into gold. And I have moved away from it. You know, I've had to because of just, you know, providing. But that is all grounded. So that 444 that comes right after and with the 888, which is the double of that, is saying you're sitting in the right place. Ground yourself in the momentum of now the higher numbers, because it all also aligns with the, you know, chakras and all of those things. Sorry, I digress. In that.
Oh no, I love it. I love it. And I made a note about part of your mission and your and how you describe it: pain into purpose, worry into wisdom, and grief into gold. Because mine is moving out of havoc and into happiness and scarcity to abundance. And so, yeah, it's just, I love how you describe it.
Yes. Yeah. Because if we are in havoc, what are we?
Oh God, we're
probably grieving.
We're probably something
worried, right?
Oh yeah.
And we're probably sourcing pain, whether we felt it, moved through it, like a beach ball, held it down, and then have recently let it slip out of our hands, and it's now knocked us in the face.
Yep.
And we cannot get too happy until we understand it, the wisdom.
Own it.
Yep. And which drives our purpose.
Yep.
And then gold. I just love gold.
Yeah.
Golden nuggets that shed light on what that is. So what was the second one? The havoc to happy, and then the
Scarcity to abundance.
okay, scarcity to abundance. Huge. A huge part of being open to receiving numbers in sequence, again, without looking for it to get to abundance, is that if you are able and opening to yourself to receive, then you'll see it.
Yep.
You'll see it naturally.
Yep.
Scarcity is I can't see it. I won't see it. They're not going to. Or over-interpreting is also a scarcity.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
are trying very hard to interpret or making it more grandiose than it needs to be. Sometimes it's pretty simple. Then you can you're likely living in that scarcity mindset. So there's a lot of alignment here.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a lot of
A lot.
here.
A lot. A whole lot. And if, and what gets me is I don't know if anybody else personally that experiences all of this. I mean, you might be the first person, like personally,
Yes.
that experiences this, unless I'm having a total brain fart here.
No, you are the first person in my world who sees the triple numbers outside of just 111. Because a lot of people do see 111 and 1111.
Yeah.
And I'm not discrediting that. That is also a signal that they're staying there. When you start seeing other numbers, that's how you know you are becoming more what I call self-cessful, right?
Yes.
You're transcending. I don't mean that in a egoic way. I'm just speaking truth, right? So yes, you are the first person that sees numbers like that for me as well that aren't like 422 or you know what I mean, like not like the same number 3 times or the same number 4 times, which is directly correlated with those portals, divine guidance, and the message that you're here to do exactly what you do. So ditto.
Yeah, and it started with me with the 1, like I said earlier.
Same.
And it took
555 in the thing, but on the accident it was 111.
Right.
That's right. That was consistent.
So did you see that the day of the accident?
When I got in the car, when I was driving to the hospital, I saw it 111 on the license plate, and I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything of it. All I was seeing in that moment, or all I was thinking was, is he dead?
Okay.
Because they did not tell me. They could not tell me.
Oh my God.
They just said, you need to get to the hospital as soon as possible. And I did remember that it was 222 for whatever reason. Well, I do. Because when we were driving across the country, moving from California to here, we kept seeing 222. And like we both did. Everything was 222.
You and Nick.
Yes. And then, we were pregnant with twins. That was like, so the 2.
Right.
So when it was 220 on the 22nd, and I got in the car at 222, I noticed all that. But I did see 111 on the way. I just remember that to remember it. But it didn't start sticking with me until when I left the ICU and I saw it again. That's the first picture I took. I was like, oh, there it is. I said, I have an angel with me or I have somebody with me. Someone's telling me that something's up. Something's going on.
Did you, by any chance, in the middle of all of that, truly, that was a tragic event. It was a car accident, right?
So I can't speak fully, details till right now.
Okay.
Just but it was, and it was on a utility vehicle.
Okay. I see.
A utility vehicle crushed him and submerged him underwater for about anywhere from 2.5 hours in ice cold water.
Good God.
Yeah. And it, there's a Coleman, I don't know, it starts with a C, I forget it every once in a while, but right here, the back of the stainless steel seat back of the vehicle was bent, and it bent to his pelvis.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he had a H sacral fracture, which there had only been 3 seen in Kentucky at that time, which means his pelvic bones were pulled apart. Separated, and then the entire left side was powder, like there was nothing left. Comminuted. I'm sorry, I'm not medical. Yeah. Sometimes I remember it, and so yes, it crushed him in that regard, and that's what sent him again. I don't know. We don't know why or how he's here, but that happened, and they found him, like I said, about 2.5 hours later, and I didn't see him for another 6 hours where he was stuck at like 82 degrees, 81 degrees in the ICU, and went into cardiac arrest because that's the 4th stage of hypothermia.
Right.
You go into that cardiac arrest, and that was at 555.
Damn.
At 555, the flat line, the beeping noise hit the monitor, and they threw me a piece of paper and said, you have to sign right here. He's having a cardiac embolism. He's going into cardiac arrest. He's going to die if you don't sign the paper. And I was like, what? And the phone rang, and I got a call from my son's doctor for some news regarding him as well, that he was confirmed with a rare genetic disorder, Klippel-Feil syndrome. That literally was at 5:55.
Jesus.
And from that moment forward, I paid attention to every number as I fell to my knees and was like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my God.
And I've done work probably now for the last 12 or I'm probably going on 13 years. I had a lot of work that I started doing. And really before vlogging was vlogging, I was popping up my photo booth and on my Mac and talking to myself and being like, I want to test if what this man's texting me is right or wrong, and and all that stuff. But when someone's going through something that big and that deep, you like to say that you're going to remember the skills that you learned and the positive mindset and all that stuff. I'm a positive psychology practitioner. My certification of a hybrid program from the UPenn. But in that moment, I fell to my knees and I was like, what the fuck did I do? What's going on? I did everything right. I've done everything you said I was supposed to do, like what's happening? And I had that victim mentality, that why me? I can own that. And that's okay. That's how it is sometimes. You can't always. That's exactly right. So in that moment, when it was 5:55, because you had to sign and date and time, and that was the 23rd, by the way, too. So he went into the cardiac arrest by that second day that happened. He did it once, right? And then he did it again.
He's an overachiever.
Yeah. So that was very much the moment where I didn't turn back. I knew because I said, okay, life's never going to be the same. And then I got the call from my son, double 555. I was like, life's never going to be the same. And this is something.
Did you have and this is going to sound ridiculous, but I swear I'm going somewhere with this.
No.
Did you have, by any chance, a peaceful, easy feeling?
In the moment that it occurred, driving there, it was not necessarily easy, but what I will say is every second I stood, they sent me to the wrong hospital, by the way. That's a whole other story.
Nice.
Coincidentally, my cousin was at the desk at the Jewish hospital, but I couldn't recognize that it was her. I was like, this woman looks familiar. And I said, I'm looking for, such and such. And she was like, Heather. And I was like, oh my God, and it's been an accident. I got to, and so she directed me. So I was out of it. But the moment I got in that hospital and up in that ICU, I was nothing but peaceful, meaning I was locked in, loaded, questions, focus, receiving, watching. People were shocked. They were like, I was just very much calm. So I won't say easy per se. Well, let me rephrase that. Yes, easy, because somehow I had a phenomenal calmness to me and I was in the zone. That's the only thing I can say. So that for that reason, you could categorize that as peace because all I was is present, fully present in the zone. What do I need to know? What am I listening for? Tell me what's happening and what's next. That type of mode. And that lasted about 30 days.
Yeah.
Literally to the date. On February 22nd, 222.
Wow.
And that's when I collapsed to the floor for the first time and just let out this guttural scream of what was really happening in my life in that moment.
Wow.
Yeah. So yes, there was a peace and a calmness. In panic and in chaos, I have an absurd ability to hone the moment.
I do too.
And execute. I believe it about you. I mean, you wouldn't have the book that you have now and being what you're doing if you did not.
Yeah.
That's a gift. You're also a 6 of Hearts, so there's an element there of balance. You are a fate bringer, a catalyst for that. You elicit change in others in their lives, whether you know it or not. And most of the karmic lessons you've faced, I would imagine, are emotionally driven, likely through relationships, whether that's parental or intimate. That's where your karmic path has lied, which is...
Yeah, that's pretty spot on. Yeah, that's pretty spot on. And I realized something a while back because a lot of the people that I'm close to are nothing like me.
Fascinating. Close to family, friend, both what?
Both.
Okay.
Nothing more. Nothing. Like the changes that I've made, I think they kind of sit back and go, what the hell?
So were they like you before? You should.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that it's soul contracts.
Oh, yes.
I really do.
Oh, you do
that.
believe you do? Oh, yes. 100%.
Oh, yeah. I believe it's soul contracts. It's like we've got something to learn from each other.
Yes, you've been traveled many lives. There is something that is, and there's debts, and they don't always go both ways.
Right.
I'm not a big, I know everyone says everybody can be psychic, everybody can be intuitive. I don't believe it.
I don't believe
yeah,
that.
it's not true. I don't care what anyone says. You
I don't
can
think
become
so.
more insightful.
I've
Agreed.
thought about that a lot.
Agreed. You can be more insightful. You can listen and receive, but no, not everybody has the gift. And even with soul contracts, there is a debt, there's a payer, and there's a receiver.
Right.
And so that is absolutely. And those people that were around you, whether or not you were supposed to leave, whenever you wake up, you do lose, or if you kept people around you, right? You do lose folks or outgrow them, one way or the other.
I mean, I used to have, a huge social circle, and I felt very alone in the middle of all of those people, but I was always surrounded by a lot of people. And when I changed my mindset and started doing all the inner work and questioning things, questioning all that
curiosity.
bullshit that I had been led to believe about the world and the role I played in it and what I thought about myself, I started questioning all that. I was like, this is all bullshit. And I started seeing through people. They were like cellophane. And they dropped off like flies. I mean, I went from a social circle of 50 people to 2.
Wow.
Wow. Maybe even more. It was a ridiculous time. It was very chaotic and it didn't make sense. And I never felt like I belonged, even though I was disconnected from myself. I still had a pretty solid intuition, not like it is now. God. But I just never had this feeling, you are not where you belong. And I started seeing the number sequences and experiencing the synchronicity when I was getting a little bit closer to where I belonged.
I was just about to ask you that when you said when I was not, either you said in my body or something along those lines.
I was disconnected.
You're disconnected. And that's when you were going through the transition. And so during that transition, was that recent? Was that like in the last 10 years, 15 years, or was that then as well?
It's 20 years ago.
Okay, so it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's when you started seeing the numbers.
I didn't start seeing them right away.
I
was about 30, 29 or 30.
Okay. When you were
I'm backtracking to when I got hired at that job.
Yes, that's what we'll say.
When I started believing.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
Started believing that, my mantra, like the first nearly 3 decades of my life, and I got a lot of laughs out of it because I was a binge drinker. And,
I want to know your favorite drink of choice, but I don't want to digress.
Oh, no, I'll tell it. Back in the day, I would drink a lot of beer.
Brewskis.
Oh, yeah, a lot of beer. And then there were the country club I belonged to. They were not allowed. The bartenders were instructed not to serve me bourbon, no matter how.
Oh, so you were that gal.
I was her.
You were that gal.
Yeah, and I would just tell the stories about how bad things were, and I'd be like, I've been put on this earth to be tormented, and that's what I would say. I said that all the time.
Because you were uber emotional. You're 6 of hearts. So like I said, all heart-based lessons for you. You felt deeply. You still do. I don't know if you may or may not mask it or whether you are open to it or not.
Oh, no,
That's the extreme. That's the polarity. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you were shifting then, that's when the numbers started showing up.
That's when they started showing up.
Clocks, license plates, anywhere.
Everywhere.
Trucks, back
started on the phone. The phone clock. That's where it started. And then the license plates and then movies on TV. I would see the number sequences on TV. Yeah.
Wow.
Or I get like a coat check ticket and it was.
Yeah, on that coat, on that number. Do you remember which one came most frequently?
The one at first.
Okay. What about after that?
Then
was there
after that, I noticed 1811 and 811. And still to this day, I will see 811 or that combination of 8 and 1, like right before like a major manifestation shows up. That's always a sign of really good stuff coming.
So 811 or 1811. Is that what you said? Okay, so that makes sense because 811 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. So there you are again, being grounded like you saw the 111s on the clock. And like I said, and all of the what I call self-cess. So that is absolutely telling you are grounding in the right spot. Seeing him in that moment is telling you this is a personal transformation. And then the 811 is 11, master number. We don't reduce that one.
Right.
So that your calling is to help others transcend their thinking.
I'm a 33.
You are? Oh, really? Now, when did you learn that? Say around the same time?
Dr. Melissa Carver, my friend Dr. Melissa Carver taught me about life path numbers at her retreat about 4 years ago.
Were you so pumped? I bet you were like, I knew I was a 33.
Well, I'd never heard of that until.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was expecting you to be like, yes, I knew. It's like, I would be like that. It's almost like you're 33, which apparently, so I don't really know too much about, like, I claim I don't. But I don't know too much about, I will not call myself an expert. That whole name, like your name, what that is, and the whole life path numbers and so on. But apparently, I'm either a 22 or a 33, but I do know what it means. An 11, a 22, and a 33. And if you're a 44, you're a big time.
Oh, I've never heard of 44.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's top of the heap, baby. Those people typically don't have children, which is why I'm surprised I had kids. Because I would swear I was a sage. You can't serve two masters. So when you heard that you were 33, well, let me ask you this. Was this pre-book or post-book?
Pre.
Okay. That's why then, because then that even more so, that is an absolute demonstration. That's the language I use for a sign in which is either small or big to say you're on the right path or this stuff is real, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is that direct indicator of you are supposed to be sharing knowledge and information around mind, body, spirit alignment. 1-1-1, what you saw in your late 20s, that mind, body, spirit alignment, getting all of it into the place it should be. So 1811. Wow, 811. I don't know if I've ever even heard, which is good. See, that's unique.
It's odd. And anytime, like, so my transition to, well, my transformation, self-empowerment transformation, my spiritual awakening, or whatever you want to call it.
Everyone has different names for it.
Right. I was under my father's thumbnail.
Your whole life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it was bad. I just got fucking sick of it. And I left, and he took my car because he always dangled a car. I mean, that's the first thing, you know. So he took the car, and I went and got my own car, and this was when I was getting that job. But the 111 popped up. And I didn't expect him to, like, take the car, and like he did. It was very abrupt. He took the car and cut off the health insurance, and so I had to move, and I did not have any money. And that job had not been secured. And I freaked out for a little bit because I had like 5 days to get a car and get health insurance and all this stuff. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do? Well, I got a check in the mail, and it was for back pay on a grant that I had worked on like the year before. And it was for, I think, maybe $5,000 or something like that. So that was enough to get me into a car, right?
Yes.
So I go and I get the car. I got financed by the hair of my chinny chin chin. And as I was driving off of the car lot that night, the clock said 8:11. Well, the check, I think the check number on that check that I got was like 1811. So that's when 1811 and 811 started popping up. Like, and it's before something huge happens.
So
with me,
do you know what that means for you?
I think that it's telling me that I've got something good coming. Keep moving forward. Don't even think about going back. Just keep moving forward, because what you want is coming. But you're gonna have to be aware, and you're gonna have to make the right moves. Because you can be right on the cusp of getting something and backtrack.
Yeah,
and
free will can take you off track.
Exactly.
So
in those instances, it would have been real easy for me to cave.
Sure, absolutely. So the fact now that you have that number sequence and those particular numbers, which again all are rooted in 1, right? When we boil it down, or 11, which still has the ones in them, that is an indicator, a signal. So whenever you see them now moving forward, something is going to change. Whether you like it or not, something is going to change if you start seeing those numbers again, because that is an alpha for you, meaning that is that trigger for you to know that whatever your life is, or whatever the circumstance or the thing that you were thinking is happening, whatever arena it falls into, the facet of your life, there's going to be a shift there, but that you're also an initiator. So you have one angel that is absolutely around you. That was a signal. The 111 was a signal for you that you have somebody who's either passed over or have one of the 7 powers, one of the angels that's with you through that. So to keep going, right?
Mhm.
And then that 8, when the 8 shows up, that's like, boom, girl, now you have your power, because 8 is a karmic number. It's a power number. And that shows that you at least have one of the 7 archangels with you at all times that you can call on. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes.
So I'm
fascinating.
always inviting my angels. Always inviting my angels in to help with like little things.
Okay, well, you have one with you all the time.
Really? Did you
Yes.
know which one?
Well, no, thank you for asking that question, because in my head I was trying to multi-think in the moment, and I'm like, well, which one is it? Because I know 888 is Raphael. I know 333 is Uriel. I would need to look it up if it's Metatron as 111, but I'm not sure. But you're going to find out. You're going to look it up. I know you are.
I absolutely look it up.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. So, because that's a big thing for you. You have one absolutely with you, and there is one power move that you are supposed to do.Maybe it was your book. Maybe it's something different. I don't know.
Maybe something different.
We can. I do too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you though, because you seem very strong-minded. You have you have more than one. There's many things you're going to do, but there's definitely one stamp here in this lifetime that power 8 is here for. And it is grounded in mind, body, spirit alignment. And it is grounded in self-cess. It is grounded in that, legit. So coincidentally, wow. Yeah, I just felt that. It's got a little bit of freeze on myself. So that's me.
Fascinating.
Your book, Thought Snob, is about shifting the thinking, correct, in order to become who you need to be, when you need to be there. So that's a big part of it.
Do you have a number that you see before like a major miracle happens? I mean, like something great, like when your life shifts and it never goes back to being the same, but it's like great.
You know, what a great question.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to use our last few minutes to talk. Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah. Because people are so curious about this and why am I seeing these sequences and what do they mean? And
so for me, both times 555 is one of the numbers, because 555 is the number that I saw in October of 2015. And it took, let's see, no, September, October, November, December, January, February. I didn't pick up everything and leave to move across the country to California for 4 months, but it was right when I went out there, right when I, started just saying, you know what, it's time for me to go out there. So 555, I see before great things, but I also see it before horrible things. And great things, I would say, for me, 555, I guess I'll leave it with that, which is right in alignment with this change. I'm always seeing it when some sort of momentum happens. What your question is making me realize about myself in this moment is I can't pinpoint. There's so much this. I feel like I've lived 7 different lives in the last 9 years, and I can't even pinpoint one like great thing, because there's been a lot of great, but there's been a lot of stuff that I'm like, God, can I even isolate great, or did I screw myself in the lens of doing all these, meditations and rituals, be like, hurry up with my karmic justice, that I've just been so many things that I can't pinpoint that. But 555 is the staple for a shift, a change, or something, whether that's greatness or whether that's a change that I'm trying to avoid, that I have to go through. It's the 555, which lends itself to, people are always asking, why am I seeing this sequence, or what am I doing? Anytime you are questioning, why am I seeing this sequence, start with yourself. If you are mindful enough in that moment, stop in the moment and say, what was I just thinking about? Oh shit, what was I just thinking about? What was I worried about?
yeah.
And then that will start to give you the answer of why you are seeing the sequence. However, the number and what it is and what it represents, there are core foundational meanings. 1 is self-discovery, new beginning. 2, balance, typically is relationship. Even though it can be with self, it's rooted in balance. 3, alignment. 4, structure. 5, change. 6, karmic, family, attunement. People think 666 is bad. It's not. It's actually about truth. It's all truth in self. 777, that's spiritual, hands down. That is a sign that you are. And so I've seen that. That is what I have seen woven throughout everything, which is how I know something great's happening right now. I'm sitting for you. That's so legit though. Like I'm like in Kentucky. I've been waiting for someone.
I know.
When I saw
rare.
what you said, I was like, oh my God. And this, it's because in LA, everyone was so welcoming, and so I fit in. I fit in there. So I was like, oh, there's someone here that might not think I'm weird. So 777 spiritual, 8 power, 9 endings, change, revelations, and then 0 is here we go. I'm rebalancing, which I saw that yesterday. 0, 0, 0. And I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So there's always a meaning, and it is directly correlated with your thoughts. And I don't mean if you have a positive or negative or a growth or a fix. I'm just saying whatever you're thinking about. If I'm thinking about my relationship, intimate relationship, then that number is correlated to that. Sure. If I'm thinking about my health, it's that. Work, that, whatever it may be. There's definitely patterns to that. And for me, I've been seeing double numbers now. So 555 and 777. I sent you the picture of 777, 888. So 555 and 777 is, hey, Heather, you've been through the ringer. You've learned enough. We're done. We've wrung you out. We have drug you through to still have faith without fear, which without worry. Now, the 555 is because you've earned your teachership. That's what I've just realized. That was about January. I was like, God, I keep seeing 555 and 777. And that is, it's time. It's time to now take what you've done and quit talking about doing something with it and the 3 books you're supposed to write, the podcast you're supposed to have, and go. And now this 888, now, I mean, this is nonstop. After I sent you that picture, I told you 4 more times. That is the blend of, you cannot speak of surface anymore. You cannot waste time in things that aren't real, and truth, which is what you coincidentally just said. And the 888 is abundance. And it doesn't always have to mean the cash, right? The dollars, but abundance, the spiritual abundance is now coming when you make the choice that you've been waiting to make, to speak truth, coach, talk about that. 777, spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it, then that's where your abundance will come, because that is your calling, that is your purpose. So for me, that's how it comes through, and those are meanings that absolutely. So now that I'm seeing 2 at the same time, literally on 2 license plates, I don't know, I'll bet that happens a lot. And now that I'm starting to see quads, 9999. 6666, 7777. I've been seeing it the whole year.
That's wild.
Yeah. And we are in the year of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're in the year of the 9, which that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's all in alignment. But I'm also starting to allow myself to grief into gold just was added.
I like it. I love it.
Isn't it phenomenal? Because these, I had like an Akashic record reading, and, people, I'm always getting messages like, how do you do it? And how do you do it? Like, wow, people that I was in Philly for 8 years, New York, then LA, then here, and just keep having great moments of peaking. I will say that with confidence. I'm not ashamed to say I've peaked at every decade, and I love it, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Taking the risks, and I've been alone, in some aspects of it and not. And it is the moments where I'm starting to see those numbers that are now in 4, right? That I know a shift is happening. And that's actually what shifted me to start when I got the readings, and when I have people coming to me, well, how are you doing it? And so forth. I started asking myself, how am I doing it? And then, several months ago, I was saying, I don't know how I'm doing it. Oh my God, how are you doing it? And then I started going, getting in my head, which what a coincidence. I'm in a 9-year cycle, right? How are you doing it? I'm not doing it. Oh my God, I'm dying. Oh my God, I can't keep going like this. So that shift of allowing myself, people kept saying when I got these, I got 2. An Akashic reading, she was like, my God, you are covered in grief. And then I had a reading from someone before that, and she was like, man, you just carry this grief. And I've had people tell me that my sacral chakra is completely frozen and I'm ice cold, which makes sense on a whole other level. But I finally was told, if you don't release this grief, you are going to make yourself, like you're going to do what you're going to do. If you're holding on to it, it's going to transition
you
into
sick.
your health. And I've started
Yeah.
to get sick
Yeah.
more.
Oh, yeah.
I'm starting to break, my body has started to break down the last 6 months. So it wasn't really until I started opening myself up to own what I'm grieving about.
Yep.
And that I've
Grief
started
is sneaky,
seeing.
too.
It is.
Sneaky.
Well, especially if you're good with your mindset. Yeah. I mean, you can hold that beach ball down all day.
Oh, yeah.
But there's plenty of things that I could be grieving, which I just don't have time. But it wasn't until I started letting that stuff come up that I started to see odd numbers or numbers at the same time. So it's all different for people.
I'm so glad that you brought that up. People need to hear that. Things start happening when you start to let go.
Yes.
I was very unhealthy for many years. And as I sit here right now, 48 and postmenopausal, I'm in better health than I've ever been in my life. I'm in better health than I was 20 years ago. I'm in better health than I was when I was a teenager.
And what do you think drove that?
Oh, it was clearing out the trauma. It was clearing out the grief. It was letting all of that go. It was forgiving. It was forgiving myself. It was, let go of the grudges. Not to say that I don't get mad as hell sometimes, but it's for 24 hours, not 24 years.
There you go.
And I even developed a rare bladder condition called interstitial cystitis, IC. And the doctors will tell you that there's no cure for that. Well, I'm sitting here asymptomatic. And yeah, I made a lot of lifestyle changes, a lot of diet changes, but I'm convinced that it's from reducing inflammation in my body and that
working on the nervous system to release what you were holding in, which impacted the bladder and other whatever else was going on. Absolutely.
Yes.
And
I don't get sick anymore. I used to get sick all the time, like head colds, flu, bronchitis, freaking stomach virus.
Well, that's because you weren't with the bronchitis and the flu, the head all here because you weren't speaking. You weren't communicating. You didn't read your book yet. So you were blocked. And you were blocked because your father had implanted in you, this is your purpose. This is, you cannot do this. You can do this. So that cage, that shell, kept your voice, this whole congestion of you weren't speaking. You weren't communicating.
No.
Oh, I'm fascinated. I want to dive in with the bladder, like with the sacral chakra. Was the pain and was the grief and was it relationship driven? Was it also driven in a female's role and sex and sexualizing and being pretty and all, and that's where your worth is by chance? Was any of that resonate?
Most of it was relationship issues.
So that sacral chakra. But you have sex and relationships, so that's why that showed up in the bladder.
Absolutely. But a lot of my self-worth growing up, and this was just part of the culture, and then it just continued into my 20s, but a lot of my worth was about how I looked.
Yes.
My family made a big deal about that.
Yeah, having a vagina, sacral area, bladder.
Yeah.
Say. Yeah. I mean, well, I consider that sacral area, but yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and whether it resonated with you or not, you held, it was stuck, and that absolutely manifested in that issue.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And when I again met Wayne Dyer, I'm going way over here.
Did we even talk about numbers? I don't think we did.
But I didn't know. I didn't know about any of this stuff. And so when Wayne Dyer, came into my life and I figured it all out and started connecting the dots, I developed a new fear. And that fear was not of living. That fear was living the way that I had and thinking the way that I thought about myself. And I was afraid to have those thoughts and I was afraid to have those conversations. So I just freaking stopped it. And not that I didn't backtrack, because I did. That's part of the process. Yeah. But I became really mindful because I knew that I was not in good health because of all of that shit that I had created and everything I had in my subconscious. And so when I was willing, even just when I was willing to let go of all that bitterness and hatred and they did this and they did this and they did this.
Yeah, blaming. Victim mindset.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
And just being willing to let all that go, I started to feel better.
100%, because you honed your power.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the grounding of co-creating your reality. What I just heard you say is, when I made a conscious choice to accept the fact that I co-created my reality,
Yep.
that is when I started to be free.
Mm-hmm.
That is freedom, darling.
Yeah,
That's freedom.
it is. I mean, there's nothing like it.
And that's exactly why I do what I do. And what I also learned in that is I never allowed my parents, I was always like, I'm not a product of my parents. What I quickly realized is I am still a product of my parents. But when I started owning and saying, maybe I am contributing to this, maybe me holding on to this is part of the problem, and releasing that, shifts, numbers, anything, it all started opening up.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, it's not until we can come to terms with the fact that all of our realities are different, all of what we experience will never be the same, that we can actually be okay and release and truly accept like what it is that we need to process.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only way to is through.
Right.
I like to say I love to dance with the darkness. We got to dance with the darkness, baby, to get to the light.
That's right.
Part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you did your dance with your darkness.
Yeah.
I named mine. I still
Did you
have,
really?
I still have great relationships with all my dark demons.
Nice. Nice.
Because we can't let go of that, right? That's a part of us that cannot be dismissed. And so that's the other part why people hold on to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be the bad guy.
Identity. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they don't want to be the bad guy, but there is no good guy without a bad guy, right?
No.
I mean, and there's two sides of us. There's duality.
Oh, yeah.
All part of it.
Yeah,
So,
nobody's all good and nobody is all bad.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. And I often use, I know this is a terrible example, but I often use Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh,
I mean, some people, Jeffrey Dahmer's parents loved him.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Jeffrey Dahmer was nice to some people.
Sure.
So it's like not everybody's all bad, not everybody's all good.
I mean, you could use a relationship example, a great husband and wife, and we have a husband who goes, he fulfills his expectation shell. He works, he grinds, he provides for his wife, whether she chooses to work or not. Kids have a great house, the wife has a great house, she has what she wants. But he has a problem. He has an insatiable hunger for other women, for attention. He craves validation through his dick, let's say, because at one point, that's what made him feel validated.
Right.
A whole double life. He goes out, he cheats, comes home, can look the wife in the eye, whatever it may be, and smile.
Mm-hmm.
That is polarity. Doesn't mean he doesn't love his wife.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean he doesn't love his kids. It doesn't mean he didn't mean I love you and I only want to be with you. It means that he has a habit or a pattern or something, an outlet that has to be faced to stop, or it's just who he is, a restless soul. Can that be real in both worlds? That's polarity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I could talk a whole hour about that dynamic.
Oh my God, yes.
That's one of my whole, especially with individuals from other cultures, fobs, fresh off the boat, right? There is a wife and the mother of my children, and then there are women that you sleep with, that you have sex with. So that's a whole, again, dynamic here. I digress. You do topics, but yeah.
Well, and I do too. And I mean, it can go in so many different directions here. I mean, so many. And I'm glad the way that this worked out, because the first time that we were supposed to meet up, I'm glad that we didn't, because I would have never thought to talk about this stuff with you.
Yeah, I don't.
If I had had some time
to look,
to kind of look into it, and I'm like, bam, I knew that something was drawing me to her.
Yeah, I don't talk about it, like I said, here really at all. Outwardly, I mean.
Well, you can always talk about it with me.
Yeah.
Do you still do readings?
Yeah, I do. Coincidentally, in the last 6 weeks, people keep hitting me up. And we're like, okay, yes.
Does it take a lot out of you
No, not anymore. No. I mean, now I can just, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
I mean, it used to, but I worked at it, right? I mean, I always had I'm third generation. So I was born with the gift. It used to manifest through my stomach, my gut. And it does not take a lot out of me. No.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do still do them when people ask.
Mm-hmm.
And, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It just doesn't, I got 2 kids. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but it was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still do that. I don't do Reiki as much. I'm a Reiki master, so I don't have time necessarily to do Reiki and be focused, because I'm everything to everybody right now.
Right.
I do still do readings, and I do now know that I have somebody that I can talk to about it with. It's starting to seep through for some of my clients. They'll hear something and they'll be like, and I'm like, what? And they're like, do you know others? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, tell me everything. And I'm like, oh, it's starting to happen. So there's a shift happening.
Yeah. So you do, so I have Akashic Records readings regularly too.
Oh, you do? So I've only had it once. And it was through my cousin, some of my family's in New York. And it was someone he knew who he went to high school with, because I just didn't know anybody or know how real it is. But that's great. Do you love it? And you get them done regularly?
Well, I say regularly, about once a year.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
And it's because I know someone who is an expert in the records.
Okay.
And she was in the UK. She's British, and she's been on the podcast.
Okay.
Her name's Rebecca Lyons, and now she has moved to Bali. But yeah, that's a whole other story. And I need to get her to come back on the podcast and talk about that. But she is the person who has done my readings. And the first reading, I always take notes, and I go back through my notes, and everything that you can connect everything that happens after the reading to the reading.
And that has happened for you?
Yeah.
Good. So she's good.
She's good.
Okay, great.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
And then one of my clients recently went through like a Akashic Records training, and now she's doing it professionally. And I was like her guinea pig. And she told me that this was it. This is my last time.
For what? Getting a reading?
On Earth.
Oh,
this
really?
Is my last life.
Really?
2 weeks later, another Akashic Records person told me the same thing.
Okay, really? Okay, do you have children?
No, I have 2 stepchildren.
But no, so you're did you remember what I said about an hour and 15 minutes ago? I was like, I wonder why I had kids. That's correct. So, what did they say you are? 33? I'm surprised you didn't take us down that path. Forget the numbers right now. You are a master number 33. That's why you don't have children.
That's what they told me.
That's correct. You're an ascended master in the next lifetime.
That's what they told me.
Okay, so we have more work to do with you. I mean that respectfully, because if you are a sage and a seer, then yes, we have more layers to peel back, because there is work. Whether or not you've tapped into yet, I don't know. Again, I mean that with love. I feel like I'm every tree that you're here to do that. We need to direct. Excellent.
I mean, I can keep going. I can't, unfortunately, but we need to talk about this more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I want to tell you this very, very quickly, and then I want you to tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, sure.
All that.
I don't even care if this air. I've had a great time. If you watch this and you don't have good, and that's nothing on you, that's on me, because I totally could have navigated it, but I did not. But if you see this and it's not, don't use it unless you have to.
Oh my God, I think it's gonna be great.
Sure, it might. I'm critical because this is my old world, broadcast news, and so if it may or may not be, but if it's not, it won't offend me. Don't use it.
Oh no, we're gonna use it. This is gonna be great. My people on social media are gonna love it. They love it. They love it.
As long as you saw it.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Real quick. So Saturday before last. And this is just an example of how the synchronicity has become more and more advanced with me. So Saturday before last, I left here, headed to Lexington to go to dinner with my girlfriends in Lexington. I got stalled on the freaking Gene Snyder because all they do is road construction. And so I'm sitting there, just killing time. I can't stand to waste time. It's just my thing. It's like I always got to do something. So
you don't meditate yet.
I meditate. I'm a meditation instructor.
But you still hate to waste time.
I don't like to waste time. It's not. I just like to make use of like every second kind of thing.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting there in the car, and I'm like, you know what, angels, spirit guides, let's play a little game. And I see, just as I'm driving today,
am I sitting in front of a mirror?
And this is my idea of a good time.
I love it.
And this is what I mean by, I'm going to find a way to make every second meaningful.
Gotcha. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard that as busybody, like, oh my gosh, but what you're saying is
like
you
meaningful.
Connect. Yeah,
right.
You connect.
Right,
yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, and so, I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what, let's play a little game. And I'm talking to my angels and to my spirit guides, and I'm like, why don't you just, show me some kind of sign that I can't mistake. Just show me something. Just so I can know you're listening to me and I'm listening to you. And I just want to strengthen, our communication and our relationship. And you helped me so much and I'm so grateful. I said, why don't you show me, my bee? Because the bumblebee has been my sign, like from the universe for many years. But I think it's changed if that's possible. I don't even know.
No,
if that's
I mean, yes,
possible.
it does through different phases and transitions depending upon where you're headed. Yes, different animals will show up to show you where and what energy to hone and the direction.
Interesting. I wondered, and something just it came. I mean, it was clear as a bell. Paula, it's going to be an elephant. Look for an elephant. And of course, ego steps in, logic, human. I'm like, no, where in the hell am I going to see an elephant? Yeah. And I'm like, well, okay, I mean, it's elephant, whatever.
So an elephant came to your head in that moment when you asked. Okay, not the bee. Okay, cool. Got it.
Yeah. So I'd forgotten about it. Like by the time I got to Lexington and picked up my friend April, I'd forgotten about it. I'd forgotten about asking that. So she gets in the car and we're, pulling out of her driveway, going down her street. And she said, I've got something for you. I'm like, oh, what? And she said, well, with my grandmother passing and you really, helped me through that. And she said, I got you something for your meditation room because I put together a meditation room not too long ago.
My meditation room.
I love meditation room. And she pulls out this little white box out of her purse and she opens it up and it's a little green sage elephant.
Was it a crystal? Or was this just colored green?
Jade.
Okay, jade, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I think it is jade.
Yeah, jade.
Yeah.
When you said sage, I knew green. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I wonder if it was jade.
Yeah.
How about
And
that?
I was like, shut up.
How about
And I was like, you're showing off now. You're showing off.
So you put to hone that elephant energy.
Yeah, but that was advanced and that was fast.
Well, that's how quickly it happens when you're connected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I often feel you're telepathically connected to people.
Mm-hmm.
I often feel a certain individual still, and I'm feeling that individual, and I said a prayer words before bed to show me if it's real, take form. If it's in the ether, let it go. A few words around that, but show me my answers, right? And show me in dream. I have not had an immediate dream in years, okay? But that night, I went to bed, 4:16, which I told you I never see. I'm always same number, 3s, 4s. So 4:16 was on the clock. I was there. Something happened. He said certain words. Then I was outside of the house and I saw a clock. And so all of that was showing me you were never fully let in. You were always on the outside. Although you were part of this, you were never part of the future. And the words blatantly out of the mouth were around how it is not to take form. It's always going to be in, dream state, meaning you're always going to feel it energetically, but it's never going to take form. 6, 1, 4 is 11. That's
interesting.
Spiritual alignment. That is master of number of here's your answer. Boom.
Yeah.
So that immediate, when I got that this past week, I was like, oh my God, I'm back.
Yeah.
Like I'm back in tune.
Yeah.
Because I stepped away when I had the experience here with, people not being open to the numbers and just stuff like that. And it being kind of, like I said, used to taunt, right, and poke at me. And my significant other at the time, I just was like, all right, I'll hustle into work and do, coach and do what I do. But when I got it that fast, I'm like, she's back, ladies and gentlemen, she's back. She's back. She's in alignment.
Yeah.
So.
And it's a great feeling too.
Yes, it is.
It is.
It's fun. It's nice to know that's the biggest part about navigating life in general. It is not always going to be, that's my logo for Selfcessful. The whole Selfcessful path that's my logo. It shows, right, that we have, that it's this. And there's a whole descriptor around that. But it's when there's a bigger meaning, a deeper meaning around whatever it is that you're experiencing and why, whether that's God, whether you call that higher purpose, higher being,
Mm-hmm.
universe, that demonstration, your elephant, my dream, the quicker the demonstration, the more aligned you are. But it's a refreshing feeling. It's reassuring. It's calming.
Yeah.
When you know that there's something bigger out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's...
And there is.
Yes, there is.
Mm-hmm. There absolutely is. So let's wrap up and let's tell everybody how they can find you.
Well, thank you so much. You can find me at heatheryerid.com. If you do have LinkedIn, you can also just type in Heather Yerrid. I'll come right up.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for having me.
Mhm.
You're awesome.
Yeah, well, you are too.
I think we're going to be really nice, good friends.
The Thought Snob Podcast with Paula Swope has been brought to you by Thought Snob Media in association with Special Purpose Studios. All production, mixing, and sound engineering by me, Will Swope. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Please take a few seconds to give us 5 stars and leave a review. See you on the next Thought Snob Podcast with Paula Swope.